one of the biggest honors, most prestigious ones, of course, that our league gives. What do you guys think of this year's nominees?
It's an incredible list. It's an incredible honor. I look at Andrew Whitworth, what he did this year for the victims of that shooting out in California. I look at Marshawn Lynch, what he does in his hometown of Oakland. And I look at all 32 nominees, and I say to the NFL fans, these are the men that you want to look to in the league, and this is the pillar of our league. Guys like that, and the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award is maybe my favorite of the entire postseason ceremony.
There's some classic veterans on this list. There's young guys like Trey Burton for the Bears. And let's not forget, one of my favorite details after all of this and after the work is done is the players get that patch.
Yeah.
You see Drew Brees, you see J.J. Watt, you see Larry Fitzgerald. They got the patch, the Walter Payton. For the rest of their career, it is such a special fraternity that you have to earn so much to get in. I love this list. I cannot wait to see who comes away with it this year.
And that's just it. As a player, there's Player of the Week. There's Player of the Month. There's Defensive Player, Offensive Player, MVPs. All these different accolades we receive as players. But this is the award that we get as men, the things that we do in the community when we take the jersey off, when we take the cleats off, take the shoulder pads off, and we're in the community and we unveil ourselves physically and emotionally locked in, 10 toes down, wherever we live. It's an amazing honor, and I'm just glad that the NFL is highlighting it every year.
And the finalists will be celebrated in their communities, of course, and all really until it gets announced who wins the thing, and that happens at Super Bowl 53 the night before on Saturday, February 2nd. It happens at NFL Honors. All very special stuff. And if you want to learn a little bit more about any of these nominees, you can go ahead over to NFL.com/Man of the Year. Time now for Shreddy or Not.
That's right. Well, listen, every Thursday we take a look at some of the recent fantasy trends, and we turn to our resident fantasy expert, Kay Adams, and we're going to decide which one of these will continue and which ones are going to go right into the shredder. So without further delay, it's time for the fantasy playoff edition of Shreddy or Not, presented by Intuit QuickBooks.
Let me submit the Shreddy. Would you like to pull
I forgot. I got to get
Come on.
I think you're going to like this one. I'd like to introduce you to David Shredderman.
Great.
Oh.
Is that Pat Riley?
That's Pat
Hey,
Riley.
all right.
We knew you'd like that one.
That's fantastic.
Shout out to Rupert, too. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
Shredderman's perfect.
Yes,
right.
so David Shredderman, what will he be shredding or not today?
All right, so here we go. If I drafted Tom Brady, should I stick with Tom Brady this week up against the Dolphins?
Oh, there's been struggles.
Okay, so there's been struggles. There's the whole Miami thing, which you've addressed already. And if you really have to consider this, he's the 14th best fantasy quarterback this season.
Okay.
He hasn't been putting up the points through the air that he usually does to justify taking him in the first couple rounds, or at least among the first couple of quarterbacks.
Okay.
So if you're in this situation, you also drafted a QB2 that has a good matchup, right? If you're considering whether or not to bench Tom Brady, that means you have a Jameis Winston going up against the Saints. You have a Lamar Jackson taking on a Chiefs defense that he'll probably put up points against, or Matt Ryan, who has Green Bay. These are your QB2s. So I'm going to go ahead and say you should not stick with Tom Brady if you have any of those other guys.
Set him.
Those other
Lamar
guys,
Jackson over Tom Brady. I love it.
because it's just a way better matchup, and he's been putting up the points to put him back.
I love it.
Lamar Jackson's a little shaky, but the matchup sort of
Great.
sells the whole thing. Matt Ryan has really struggled, but Matt Ryan has a better chance, I think, of putting up big points against, the Dolphins' defense isn't great, but he has struggles down there. They're our run-first team when Sony Michel is healthy out there. So Tom Brady, I'm worried about in your fantasy playoffs, but if you drafted him, you've been worried about him all year.
Okay.
I think Tom goes big.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think
All
he
right.
goes big.
That game's wild. No one knows what to expect.
It's crazy.
Like bigger than Jameis Winston against the Saints.
I believe so.
Jameis Winston was back-to-back games with no turnovers, playing for his future.
He is. He's been balling. That's number one offensive football. You can't argue with that, but I do feel like Tom goes big. He's hearing all the whispers.
Jameis over Tom.
Okay, this one comes from the home office in Sioux City, Iowa. Top 10 reasons why I should play Jaylen Samuels this weekend at Oakland. Ha!
Okay, I should play him. I'm going to disagree with this and shred it, and I'll tell you why. I was looking at the rankings on various fantasy sites of where they have him. People have Jaylen Samuels over LaShawn McCoy. You can't do that. Can he get the workload? Sure, but Tomlin's already come out and said it's going to be a committee. Stephen Ridley's going to be involved. There's just no track record, no rap sheet on Jaylen Samuels being able to be a three-down back or be effective. He is weirdly tight end eligible on some sites, you guys. As a tight end, hell yes, I'm playing him because he'll probably get 7 targets.
Dirty.
He'll run the ball, 10, 12 times at the tight end spot. If you can play Jaylen Samuels,
Hack the system.
I'll say this. I would play Jaylen Samuels over Rob Gronkowski. If you at the tight end spot, I'm calling my shot on this. It's not every site, but I'm looking at the projections. They don't really make sense to me. He's ahead of Marlon Mack. I wouldn't bench Marlon Mack or LaShawn McCoy for Jay.
All right. That's my favorite thing. Play him at tight end.
It's like
people will be so pissed off. Right? Never mind, it's the playoffs. Everything goes.
I like him in a PPR league if you're struggling, but I would play even maybe Theo Riddick over him. Like somebody that at least has a track record. Remember, this is the fantasy playoff race. You're one and done.
Putting a lot in there, and that's why I asked this one here. Okay, from Super Dave Osborne to Super Alshon Jeffrey, I should bench Alshon Jeffrey of the Eagles against the Cowboys. Okay, if you drafted Alshon, you probably did it as one of your first or second receivers. What do you do?
You did, but he's going up against the Cowboys. I think you should bench Alshon Jeffrey, who hasn't had 50 yards or a touchdown since week 7. It's Golden Tate that's really heating up. It is crazy that Alshon is still ranked on places like NFL.com and all the other websites, that he's still ranked ahead of Golden Tate, who just had a breakout game. I don't know. I'm looking at where the receiving ranks. Alshon, it's not really happening. He ranks in receiving
Below Levine, Lolo?
Yes. Tough matchup with the Cowboys. They've allowed the third fewest points to wide receivers this season. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, bench Alshon Jeffrey. Sorry about you.
All right.
Remember last week, Wentz tried to force it to him in the red zone, and that was the Josh Norman interception. He tried to get it to him. Does he score more than AC Green, though?
AC Green, big fat goose egg.
You have Cortland Sutton, right? He might have a tougher time now because Emmanuel Sanders won't be on the field, but he might get more targets.
Volume.
How could you play Alshon Jeffrey over Cortland Sutton? The ranking should not be that way.
Yeah.
Because you drafted Alshon, that's what it is. You drafted Alshon in the 3rd round, you're like, I'm going to ride it.
And if you're in the playoffs now, I mean, your team worked. It's tough, though. It's like a Wentz choice over a Case Keenum choice. You know what I mean? Sometimes you choose the quarterback. That's a tough one. I go with the volume, though, with Denver. I actually would.
Cortland Sutton.
I wouldn't.
I agree. David Schredderman, we have one more for you from me. This is the birthday of one Judd Apatow.
Nice.
Creative mind, funny guy, creative, of course. It got me thinking to put this one in the Shreddy. The 40-year-old virgin is Judd Apatow's best piece of work.
A bag of sand. I love 40-year-old version. Fantastic. The scene where the guy is explaining all the different maneuvers and nicknames is amazing. And so many other great ones. I really liked Knocked Up. I love Cable Guy that Judd had his hands on. Honestly, the one for me, I really like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I think that movie was one of the first movies I saw with my wife. There's a Dracula song. It's getting kind of hard to believe.
Great.
Things are going to get better. That's it for me. Forgetting Sarah. I love that movie.
Bridesmaids is really good.
Bridesmaids is awesome.
Amazing. I have to go with 40-year-old virgin. I got to tell you, honestly, when I saw it in the theater, it's spectacular. I think the Jonah Hill scenes in the eBay store are some of the greatest, like just straight weird.
Kevin Hart want to buy these and take these home. I'm sorry, you can't.
Love 40-year-old
Goldfish boots.
Kevin Hart.
Oh, Kevin Hart too.
Don't be my.
I can't quote that scene.
I know, I can't either. I'm not going to do it on TV. I love Celtic Pride. It's a classic.
Celtic Pride.
I love you, Nate.
I
love you.
Heavyweights. We remember Heavyweights.
Heavyweights, sure.
Great movie. But I'm partial to Step Brothers, and Pineapple Express is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Talk about it.
Pick one.
I'm going Pineapple Express. Pineapple Express is so funny to me. It is the most hilarious movie. It's an absolute riot fest. I'm going with Pineapple Express.
That's the only one that I haven't seen.
It's funny. It's a funny
Freaks
movie.
and Geeks.
Love it.
I've never gotten with it. People love it, and they say it's like the Bible, but I've never watched it.
I think Twitter will go crazy that you guys didn't mention Freaks and Geeks.
They will.
Did anyone mention Superbad?
No.
Superbad to me is
What a catalog.
That's the GOAT. Superbad.
I like This Is 40.
So are
Another
we
great
shredding
one.
this?
You like This Is 40?
Yes.
I said no.
I don't mess with the
for it.
Zohan. I don't mess with
You
the
don't? No, you know what?
I don't like it. I literally don't mess with it.
Nate often draws like Superbad, don't
Shredding
you?
it.
Hey, that's got political undertones when you say you don't like the Zohan. You know that, right?
Is that true? I know what you're talking about. Take a lap, Nate.
We will be back after this talking Thursday Night Football with